My story probably starts from grade school, I would say. I was in 7th grade when I had switched over from one school to another school, and that's kind of when I realized what being different kind of felt like. I am the new kid, and I am known as the kid that wears the headscarf, that wears a hijab.
In 2006, so when I was in my second year, I became conscious of the implications of my blackness. At that time at King's, there were not so many black students. There were so many international students, but not so many black students. I happened to be in a group of friends where, I was unsurprisingly the only black friend.
On my first day of my second year of high school, I arrived late to class and they were doing icebreakers, so I had to partner up with somebody. I was asked where I moved from. So at the time, I had gotten used to saying my home country's name with an English accent, so I said El Salvador. And my partner took it upon herself to make fun of the pronunciation, and she said, El Salvador? What kind of a name is that?
I also get things like, where are you from? And then once they hear where I'm from, they say, oh, do the Jamaican accent, do the Jamaican accent. Oh, you must really love dance hall, or you must really, really, really love fish and oxtail and all these things.
There's this one microaggression that has been a consistent theme throughout my life. Well, Jen, you know what? You're an Oreo cookie. You're black on the outside, but you're white on the inside.
I really love your tan. I wish I could get a tan like that. Your skin is so smooth. Most of them are in relation to it looking like I have a tan because I'm mixed race.
And you're educated and you dress well.
One time we received S's back. And so it happened that in that friend group, I had the highest grade. One of my friends looked at me and said, we know the reason why you received those high grades. And he made a joke about affirmative action.
The microaggression is that for some reason, there's this thought that black people can't be educated, that black people can't be articulate, that black people can't dress well.
Essentially, he was saying that the reason for my high grade was not so much on the basis of my own merit, but because somehow the prof was obligated by some racial equity sort of system to award me that grade.
I've had people come up to me and immediately touch my hair and say, I wish I had hair like yours, or
what does your hair look like underneath that? But the whole idea is that I'm hiding it and that nobody's supposed to be seeing it.
I like to think their intent was never harmful.
Oftentimes the intent isn't to hurt, but the impact hurts.
It's like, sort of setting off a grenade, throwing it and moving away and running away and leaving people behind to suffer the consequences of the blast. They might seem benign to the person that's, either doing or saying something, but the person on the receiving end receives it as this kind of blast, this explosion with shrapnel, with different wounds inflicted that you have to deal with, right? Emotional wounds, psychological wounds, and so forth, and even attest to your own identity.
That experience really changed the way that I see myself in terms of how other people interact with me, because for the longest time I kept giving people the benefit of the doubt that maybe they just didn't know any better, or maybe they were just curious.
I had gone from feeling like I belonged in the school that I had been in for such a long time to all of a sudden being the new kid. So asking that question always used to put me in a bit of an interesting position where I didn't feel like I could really answer it. And at the same time, I didn't want to be rude by brushing it away. I just kind of didn't know how to answer it.
I remember how my body tensed up. I remember, feeling really awkward. And after, the friend made that joke, or at least what was perceived to the group as a joke, everyone laughed. Even I myself laughed. The reason I think I laughed upon reflection is because I didn't want to be left out.
It felt like at that moment, everything I'd left behind and everything I'd sacrificed to be able to move here meant absolutely nothing.
It makes me feel a little bit irritated that the first thing people want to know are stereotypes and perpetuated ideas about myself due to my ethnicity. I would rather, if people want to know about me, get to know me as a person rather than making assumptions about me.
Sometimes I don't think people really hear themselves. So when you're on the receiving end of a microaggression like that, it can be shocking. But I'd encourage you to repeat what was just said to you, because when people hear what they say, then it's like, oh, shoot.
It's not my responsibility or anyone else's responsibility to educate you on our culture or ethnicity. You can do your own research and learn things like that. And for me personally, if you want to learn about myself and my life story and things like that, you can ask me in a way that asks me about my individual experience rather than an assumption or a stereotype about those things.
It's very important for me to be able to connect with people who are kind and who want to play a part in changing the way that certain people are treated. First step is opening up and sharing these experiences that hurt us so much and hurt so many people. And I hope that with my experience, some people can learn to watch what they say before they say it or reflect on what they've already said.
The goal really isn't about not speaking and not asking questions. It's more becoming more aware of the types of questions that you're asking.
For those reasons, I think it's really important to make sure that we're raising awareness about what microaggressions actually are and what it feels to be on the receiving end and what you can do to make sure that you're never on the delivering end of that. Okay, I'm done.